We have previously in these transmissions discussed the idea of a general probability for a window for the beginning of open contact between your civilization and other civilizations more openly on your planet. This window in general has been said to be between your years of 2025 and 2033, give or take a year or two on either side. But the idea now is that things are beginning to crystallize a little bit more, and we can, at this point, in scanning the probabilities, pinpoint the year 2027 specifically as an acceleration toward the idea, the beginning of contact in a variety of ways, a little bit more than the idea of just delivering information to you. It will begin slowly. Still, we're not saying that in 2027 all the ships are going to land. That's not what we're saying. So please do not misinterpret this idea. There is still a window. It will begin very strongly in 2027, and here is the explanation of why. Many of you are already familiar in your history with the idea of a seminal event regarding UFO contact that happened in your year of 1947, what you call the Roswell incident, where you really first began to realize that you are not alone in the universe through the crash of a UFO in the desert near your Roswell and Corona in New Mexico. From that point forward began a cycle. Once you had become aware as a society that other beings other than yourself exist on other planets and have the capacity to reach your world with their technology, many different things began to change within your collective consciousness, within your psyche, your awareness. And that began a 40-year cycle. Now, the 40-year cycle has been prevalent in your society for many thousands of years. The idea is that 40 years is generally, in your reality, the time it takes for a complete transformation of a society into a completely new point of view. You see examples of the idea of people changing over 40-year cycles throughout much of your literature if you look for it. The idea, therefore, is that from 1947 to 1987 was the first 40-year cycle when you became aware of the idea of other life in the universe. And in 1987, many of you started to realize that there was another culmination cycle going on then, and you called it the Harmonic Convergence. And at that time, we began to bring through more information about what's going on out in the universe and how different kinds of societies relate to your world, specifically about the idea of the beings you call the Greys, and how we first began to explain the real legacy, the real history of what that society was all about, being that they were originally humans on a version of Earth in a parallel reality that did not necessarily take care of their world, that destroyed their version of Earth through their technological means and their lack of spiritual context, and mutated themselves eventually in order to survive into the beings you now know as the Greys. We told you this story and helped you understand that the reason that they came from their reality to yours and many other versions of Earth was to access viable human DNA, since they were no longer able to reproduce, and with that DNA and their technology, create a race of hybrid beings that would continue their culture so they would not die out. As we have explained many times, of course, we are one of those hybrid civilizations. And Earth, in a sense, in its evolution, is becoming another hybrid civilization. But the idea being, from that point forward in 1987, when you began to realize what the larger story was and how you're connected to it, and how the information that we share with you is not only for the purpose of continuing the Greys' original culture from the parallel Earth, but also to help your world not necessarily go down the same path of destruction, because you had many similar traits and still have many similar traits to what it is that brought about the destruction of their version of Earth and their reality. But by disseminating and absorbing this information into your society, you have the option they didn't have. You have the option to take a different path. You have the option to create a reality that you prefer. You have the option to create positive realities of peace. So the idea here then is we are now nearing the end of that next 40-year cycle in 9 of your years in 2027. And that's why 2027 is now the focal point when the next 40 years, the next phase of contact can begin. It will accelerate at that point in a variety of unexpected ways. There will be more sightings, there will be more synchronicity, there will be here and there on your planet individual and isolated contacts happening. Now, as we have explained, the hybrid races that exist will not necessarily be the first beings that you interact with. There are others that you will interact with that in many ways are actually a little bit more like you and a little bit closer in relation to your world, and therefore interaction with beings more like yourselves will alleviate some of the ideas of panic that some people on your planet may feel in interacting with alien species, allowing you the opportunity to get used to the idea that you can have neighbors from the stars. And as soon as that becomes something that you are far more familiar with, then other races that are a little less like you can begin to introduce themselves in a constructive and peaceful manner that does nothing to disrupt the society that you have chosen to create for yourselves. But it will begin in earnest. The next phase will begin in 2027 and accelerate from there all the way up, as we said, till about 2033. Between 2033 and 2040, as we read the energy as it exists now, if nothing changes, the highest probability is that between those years, 2033, 2040, you will experience complete open contact on your planet. And during that time, also, the children that were created from the extraction of the DNA, the hybrid children, will begin to arrive on Earth to live in certain enclaves, in certain secluded areas, safe areas on your planet, again, where they can live as a group, where they can acclimate to living in your society, and you can acclimate to their society, and you can begin to blend and harmonize and welcome into your reality, welcome them into your world, and begin to really develop a real strong relationship with those children, to begin to truly understand your place in the stars, your very honored place in the galactic family. And through those years, 2033 to 2040, you will develop much, much more understanding of all the interrelationships that have occurred and can occur between your world and other beings from the stars. From that point forward, again, as we read the energy now, up till about the year 2050, all of that acclimatization will take place so that somewhere around the year 2050, you can actually enter into membership, if you wish, with the idea of the Interstellar Alliance and truly begin in earnest your education of the galaxy and a true understanding and connection of creation and existence that will spread you to the stars to explore, to discover more of yourself, and allow you to truly, from that point forward, develop a true harmony and a true paradise on your planet. So 2027 will be the kickoff point for that, a very strong one, and you will see a lot of different things happening in that year. It will be a very exciting time. So we thank you for working with us in this way. It is absolutely our passion to be able to further contact with your civilization among the other civilizations that we have contacted. It gives us great joy to be able to know that it is possible to interact with your world in this way and invite you into the family so that you can begin your process of moving at whatever pace is comfortable for you from the idea of Homo sapien to Homo Galacticus. And taking into account what we discussed last night of your time, knowing that you are all time travelers in a sense, determining which parallel reality paths you are taking by following your joy, by acting on your passion to the best you can, dropping all the insistence on what you think is supposed to happen and letting reality show you, letting creation show you the gifts that it has for you and responding to them in a positive way will drive you forward and allow you to experience the great acceleration that we're talking about that will come to a head in 2027.
How will the realities who do not experience contact perceive this event? Will they look back on this instance in a similar way we look back on the Roswell event, very much in denial?
It depends on the person. There is still an opportunity in the upcoming events to have a particular perspective of it, or no perspective at all, not even knowing that it's happening. There is still the possibility of a range of reactions to it because you are still seeing other people's choices. So for a while, different people will respond or react in different ways or not even be aware that it's happening. These things will start slowly, in phases, subtly, and not everyone on your planet may even be aware that it's occurring. But the different reactions from those that become aware of it may also exhibit a wide range from acceptance to disbelief to total non-acceptance. So again, there is still time for people to make choices about how they relate to the idea of open contact, and you will see a number of different reactions and responses to any particular UFO events or contact events for a few years to come.
This person says, I was wondering if the first major contact event will happen in dream form. I feel like more people would be open to the idea of it since they are in a dream state. I'm aware that a lot of people are already making contact while dreaming and just don't remember it. But will we have a dream we remember which will unlock the door to making physical contact?
That is a high probability. It is common in first contact scenarios in many civilizations, including a high probability in yours, that the idea of widespread open contact will be experienced en masse in dreams before it occurs in physical reality.
Will open contact happen on a large scale, visible to everyone, ensuring that no one is left out?
No, because again, there are those who may choose not to experience it. It will happen for those who are willing and open to experience such a thing. So again, the scale of it will happen in phases, will unfold in phases, and those who are open to the vibration will experience certain aspects of it, and this will change over time and broaden over time. But there will be those who are simply unwilling to experience such things, and we have to respect that. Therefore, vibrationally, they will simply not be capable of participating in the experiences that others may be open to experiencing.
And what will be the impact on those with religious beliefs when we establish open contact? Will they resist, or will you assist them in gaining a deeper understanding of Jesus and God?
We will assist where we can, where people are willing and open to receive assistance. Again, there will be a range of responses and reactions based on people's beliefs, be they positive and or negative. And again, this range of responses and reactions will still exist for quite some time as you process what is going on, as you work through things and determine for yourselves which track you ultimately prefer to be on.
And how are you feeling regarding the current UAP issues with the US government? Will we make progress soon for disclosure and contact?
You are making progress. The term soon is relative. But again, progress will be made in a number of different ways, not even necessarily so much by your government, although there will come a time when they understand that there really is no other choice but to reveal what they know, at least to a large degree, because the movements that exist in the public domain will have advanced farther at a certain point than the government's abilities to interact and expose the information that they are aware of. So it will happen as a multifaceted approach from different corners of different public interests and different public activities, and come together at a certain timing, again, through the window over the next decade or so.
And since it's the year one of Countdown to Contact, can you tell us more about the ET races that we could encounter, like Sasani, Pleiadian, Yael?
Again, it is most likely that those most similar to you, such as the Pleiadian civilizations, will be among the first that you will experience when open contact begins in earnest. Hybrid civilizations you will experience. Yael will likely be first because they will be the ones bringing the hybrid children to Earth eventually. My civilization, the Sasani, will not necessarily be first, but we will be in the mix further down the line, as well as other civilizations.
You've mentioned that a lot of ET races use similar ship types. We could, of course, reach out telepathically, but are there also physical differences in the ships we would notice, for example, between the triangular ships Pleiadian, Yael, Sasani use?
Well, again, yes, of course. You have witnessed many different types of ships that have many different kinds of functions, and different civilizations usually have types of ships that are relevant for them. A lot of civilizations will use the saucer-shaped ships. Many will use triangular-shaped ships. There is a kind of exchange that does exist between civilizations of some of the technologies. And so the use of different kinds of ships has become more mixed over time, with different civilizations acquiring the technologies of other civilizations. Many will use the cylindrical mothercraft or city ships, because that is a convenient form, although some will also be spherical. But again, you can't always necessarily tell what civilization now because of the mixing of technologies. Though for the most part, Pleiadians will retain the idea of the classic saucer shape as you understand it, and our civilization and many hybrids will retain the general use of triangular ships because that is what is representative of our general technology.
And regarding extraterrestrial writing that some people see on the ship's exterior, when seeing the ships up close, what is that writing for?
The writing exists as a mark for the identification of ships in terms of their function. And it is, in a sense, read as a code vibrationally that is telepathically received by those who are sensitive to it to understand the function of the ship and its nature in terms of how it is telepathically connected to those piloting the ships. It is a kind of a signature vibration that contains a lot of information that others can download, so to speak, to understand the identity of the ship, the function of the ship, the function of the crew, the mission they are on. The writing can even change from time to time.
This person says, I feel like I'm personally ready for that contact with ETs. Can you speak a little more on how we can embody, accelerate, and integrate for first contact?
Follow the formula as precisely as you can, as often as you can, to accelerate your vibration and make you more vibrationally compatible with the idea of contact.
Is it possible for, or probable for some of us to witness humanity becoming an honorary part of the Galactic Alliance? At 21 years old, I'm hopeful that the advancement in technology and healthcare might make it a reality within my lifetime.
Yes, as long as an individual doesn't choose to leave the planet during the time of open contact, those, especially of a younger age, are highly likely to experience the idea of open contact and a relatively large chunk of the full spectrum of contact over time.
For me, this first contact is not really a science event or a fruition of a science fiction dream. It is a cultural event, sociologic, like in the film Close Encounter of the Third Kind. Can you speak to this?
It is a sociological event, first and foremost, because it will alter your entire society. And you must alter your entire society on your own in order to make yourselves more compatible with the idea of contact. So the idea is it is less scientific, although there will be some technological elements to it, some technological exchange, knowledge exchange, so on and so forth, knowledge given, technological ideas given and shared. But it is first and foremost a sociological event, yes. Your entire society, those that are willing and open, those that are shifting in the direction of open contact, will be very different from your society of today. So the idea is that, yes, primarily it is sociological.
The idea of humans organizing for contact. In what shapes or form would you suggest or inspire humans to organize themselves so they can globally have a more joyful and exciting open contact experience?
Some of that type of information will be being delivered in upcoming transmissions that have to do with what we are preparing you for now. As we said, this is Countdown to Contact Year 1, and we will begin to make certain suggestions for actions and behavioral changes in members of your society that have to do with what we are terming the Interstellar Alliance Sociological Experiment. And it will be delivered to you in a variety of steps over time in the upcoming year. So some of those suggestions will be forthcoming in the upcoming transmissions.
You've recommended putting up a picture of an alien in our windows. I've had little children, and in speaking to them about contact, I'm not sure they're ready to see an alien in the window. Do you have other suggestions for the little ones?
Depending upon their age, your children are already exposed to many representations of ETs and other kinds of beings in their programming on television and in movies. You can simply be creative and imaginative and choose representations that you deem to be, shall we say, cuter than average, so that children can relate to them, and use those instead.
When contact is made, what reactions do you anticipate from us?
Again, there will be a range of responses and reactions depending upon belief systems, willingness to be open or not to the idea that you are not alone, willingness to be open to the idea of the kind of changes that would have to occur within you as individuals and within all of you as a society. So again, there will be a range of reactions and responses, and this is what we anticipate will occur at first.
And what qualities make us the best candidates for open contact?
Love, peace, creativity, imagination, and a willingness to be your true selves, a willingness to raise your vibration, a willingness to expand your consciousness, a willingness to connect to all that is in a variety of ways.
Okay, and did the ETs want to intervene when they saw how humans are destroying the planet, or is this that would not be the correct path? Or is that what's happening now?
That is what is happening now to a certain degree. It has been allowed in the past that certain cultures destroyed themselves. At this time, the passage of Earth in its evolutionary path is vital to the cosmos and will not be allowed to be destroyed again. And thus, it is now time for what you might call an intervention, but not in the way that you might think. Nevertheless, the preservation of humanity and the preservation of Earth at this time is of paramount importance to the universe in a variety of ways that again will be explained to you after open contact. You will understand them.
And in our neighborhood of ETs, are there other planets that are so biodiverse and amazing in terms of the biological aspects of the planet?
There are many planets that are extremely biodiverse, even more so than the Earth. But the idea is that your immediate neighbors are not necessarily so biodiverse.
So
This
this
is
is
for the purpose of allowing you to gain familiarity with them in a way that you recognize as being somewhat similar to your reality, so that, again, you have more comfortability in interacting with them. Later, you will be introduced to those that are far more biodiverse than you, far more alien than you.
and ultimately all of the extinction that's occurred on this planet with advanced beings or advanced technology, all of this can be retrieved, similar to the Greys coming to Earth and needing human DNA.
It can all be retrieved, or at least what is relevant can be retrieved for humanity's evolutionary path forward. Yes.
Great.
And again,
Oh.
remember that many different things will be introduced to you, where you don't have to necessarily retrieve them. They will simply be given to you.
Would you be able to provide insight into the factors that have influenced the likelihood of the Pleiadians being our first major contact in 2027 rather than the Yael or the hybrids?
Well, hybrids and Pleiadians will both be part of the initial open contact introduction. But the Pleiadians have been working with humans on Earth in a variety of ways behind the scenes for quite some time. Therefore, they will be one of the first to be introduced into your society because they have already been working with your society, with many members of your society, for a while.
You mentioned that open contact might begin with ships revealing themselves in a stationary way, perhaps offshore, to give us time to adjust to their presence. After that, the ETs would introduce themselves to us. Could you share how long after we start seeing the ships that actual contact might occur? And how will these meetings take place? Will they be face to face, or will the ETs use technology such as communicating through our computers, TV broadcasts, or some form of AI projection?
The preponderance of sightings of our ships will increase in your year of 2026 and 2027. It will be about a year to 18 months between the increase of the sightings of ships and the introduction of extraterrestrials to your society more openly. This will be done through a type of what you would call a press conference, and they will be introduced physically to you, not through your electronic devices.
So would actual contact that we're being told about in 2027, would that just be the presence of the ships, or would that mean that that's just the beginning?
That is the continuation of the acceleration of the sightings to let you know that we are here, and in 2027, you will actually be physically introduced to the occupants of the ships.
What will be the first technologies that'll be introduced to humanity after open contact, and how soon might we start using them?
Over the course of about 5 years after the introduction of extraterrestrials openly to your society, there will be the introduction of things that have been being worked on between some of your scientists and extraterrestrials for quite some time. Certain kinds of holographic displays, free energy devices, the idea of medical advancements, genetic advancements, so to speak, in that sense, and many other technologies being introduced that have been being worked on for quite some time.
Can you tell us anything about how Western medicine will change after the first contact?
Well, again, there will be an increase in the understanding of genetic structure and alteration of genetics. And there will also be an introduction more readily of the idea of what you would call vibratory medicine, the idea of frequencies of energies having effects upon the human body.
Okay, and will contact with aliens happen primarily on a higher consciousness level, or will we be able to see them and interact with them in the physical 3D realm like we do with other humans?
Physically. Of course, interaction with them physically over time will allow you also the opportunity to become more aware of the connections that exist on higher frequency levels.
And this individual is saying they're currently studying to become a counselor. I've been thinking that when open contact occurs in 2027, Many people might need support to process the experience and everything that goes with it. Is that accurate, or does being on the timeline where contact occurs mean that people will already be mentally and psychologically prepared for these extraordinary events?
No, they will need support. They will need assistance, many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. Some people will be better prepared and some people will be less well prepared. And so they may require some support.
And in a recent Q&A, Bashar said, or you said, that the question that hasn't been asked yet is why now for open contact? I would love to know more about that.
Well, again, it has to do with the ending of one cycle and the beginning of another, as even has been foretold and predicted by many indigenous cultures. The recognition that there have been many cycles on the earth, many shifts of reality on the earth that take you from one age to another age. And this is that time again. So it is the recognition of going through the process of transforming from an old age to a newer age, from shifting to one reality to another.
And as we get closer to 2027, this person's saying they feel very excited about open contact. How do they keep their energy in a grounded state while they're so intensely interested in extraterrestrials and the experience of open contact? How can they best prepare?
Remember again, follow the formula: in service to others, in service to humanity. That will keep you grounded.
Their question is about 2027 contact event. Many years ago, they knew about this prediction, and they wanted to know how this is possible that they were told this in the past, and how they received it, and how this technically works with the experience of channeling.
This has been laid out on many people's life path to be at this time incarnated during this event, to usher in the new age and usher in the connection with extraterrestrial beings that will help humanity evolve. So the idea is that being laid out on your life path from the soul's perspective, sometimes there will be certain moments when your consciousness may connect to the awareness of what you laid out on that life path, and therefore receive information that would then unfold in what you call the future, linearly speaking.
What will happen to the Vatican post-disclosure 2027? Will the secret texts in the library be revealed?
Yes. All will be revealed in the years following open contact.
Now, is that after 2027, or is that after we actually, the year that follows, where we're having more of a level of contact than simply
Well, that still all happens after 2027,
2027?
whether it takes a year or 5 years or 10. It's
I see.
all within the time frame of the acceleration of full disclosure after the introduction of extraterrestrials. So many things that have been hidden will be revealed, either very, very soon after open contact or within the years that follow.
So does Pope Leo have an ET connection, and will he be integral with disclosure?
Yes,
Why have all the enlightened beings in history been male?
they're
Have
not.
the, have the females just been erased because of the male domination agenda?
Yes, but they have existed.
Are
And
there
it
any?
will again be revealed when your history is shown to you by the extraterrestrial.
Okay, do you want to mention any of the enlightened females?
You will not recognize it until it is shown to you.
You've mentioned that Jesus never really meant to start a whole religion, that he was just trying to show us how to awaken the Christ within, that we can be like him. I am thinking that open contact will expose many truths about religions. How will people adapt to this, finding out that Christianity is not completely understood as it was initially transmitted? And what will happen
Religion on
to
your planet, religion on your planet in its present form will no longer exist by the year 2050. It will be more the understanding of direct spiritual contact.
Okay.
If you wish, in retrospect, since you are now talking about it from this perspective, one of the enlightened females is the being that you call the Magdalene, who should have been the continuation of Jesus's teachings, but was not because of male domination.
Where does the male domination issue emanate from? Was it something having to do with how we were originally created?
No.
Is there any more that you can help us understand why this is our challenge to balance?
For now, I will just say it comes from forgetfulness and fear, from a feeling of disconnection and disempowerment, from a depth of that experience and the attempt to control, to regain connection, even though that is not the way it works. The male seeks to dominate outwardly. The female seeks to understand control inwardly. In the cycle of the earth that is now ending, the understanding that trying to control the outer reality is an illusion. It is going within where control is understood, where control is found, where connection is found. And this is why the rise of the feminine energy is now so important and critical in your society. But in the forgetfulness of past ages, those that sought to regain connection could only imagine the idea of it happening from attempting to control the outer environment, to dominate. So the amplification and magnification of the male side of the energy became accelerated until such time as you have arrived at a point where you are beginning to learn that it is an illusion to try and control the outer reality, since the outer reality is itself a projection or an illusion. And you must go within to regain your sense of connection. And that is why the feminine energy is now rising and must form a balance, so that there is a balance of your relationship between the inner and the outer.
We have this concept called karma. And
Yes.
So what is karma exactly?
Good question. Shall I answer?
Please.
Thank you. Number one, karma is completely self-imposed. Number two, karma and the concept of reincarnation is again an illusion. It is simultaneous incarnations in parallel realities. Thus, any concept of anything that connects one life to another, such as the concept you call karma, or, if you wish, energy balancing, is simply the product of the idea of, from the present life, you decided to create energetic cross-connections, cross-links to other simultaneously existing parallel realities, because for some reason, based on the theme that you chose to explore in this life, you believe that cross-connecting energetically to those other simultaneous lives and downloading information from them, what you call memories, would serve you in the exploration of the particular theme of this life, just as those other lives are also cross-connecting to you and other lives to download information that they need to explore the themes they chose to explore by being those people in those lives that exist simultaneously with you. So karma is your decision to create a blueprint, in a sense, of connection to other life experiences going on at the same time that you believe are designed to serve the theme of the challenges you wish to explore in this life to allow you to grow as a soul and a spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bashar.
Bashar,
And good day to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I want to start by thanking you for all you have done and are doing.
All right, well, we thank you also for the co-creation of these interactions. Speak up.
I want to say how much of a great change my life has been because of learning information that you've passed on. I have two questions. One before I start, I understand if you're not able to answer it. And I want to, before I ask the question, I wanted to be clear that as a result of the experience, I've completely grown and changed.
All right, well, thank you for choosing to do that. Because no matter how much information we share with all of you, none of you have to take it to heart. It's up to you to decide what to incorporate within your being, and therefore any change going on is something that you have done. We are happy to provide an opportunity, but you have to make the choice to actually absorb that information, and the change happens because of you, not because of us.
You're amazing, and thank you again.
All right, if you say so.
My experience involves the energy project I was working on back in 2011.
Yes.
I thought that I would involve a friend of mine who's involved in Dr. Stephen Greer's group.
Yes.
So that I could have more people, and when it was completed, I would give it to them, and it would be a way to bring it out to the world.
Oh, all right. And?
Once I put myself on the map with being involved with that team on some incredibly hardcore, you could say, things started happening in the dream state, in the subconscious state.
Guys,
there were these two, I call them the two. They used to come in all the time and do incredibly gruesome, terrible things.
Such as?
I'd rather not go into detail.
Oh, all right.
They're just too terrible.
If you say so.
Worst motion picture movie stuff that you've ever seen,
Yet many people on your planet love going to horror movies.
It's terrible stuff. Maybe when I was a kid, but now I have a different respect.
Oh, all right.
Subconscious.
Very exciting.
Yeah. I learned that there was always a magnetic field associated with when they would come in.
Yes. Is there a question here?
The question is, do those two originate? Did they originate from some form of technology on this planet? Were they two people sitting behind some desk somewhere?
No.
Or was this coming from who? What is the origination?
It comes from another dimensional realm that you yourself are in touch with. And in a sense, they are giving you an opportunity to face all the different negative belief systems that are going on within your personality structure so that you can transform them and integrate them in a positive way. Understand that no matter what anyone else's intention is toward you, you always, all of you, have the opportunity to decide that only a positive effect will result for you in your life regarding any experience, because your physical reality is only the product of how you define it. And if you define it in a positive way, you'll only get a positive experience from it, no matter whether someone else has a negative intention toward you or not. That's how it works. That's physics. So get in touch with the fears that they bring up within you so that you can allow yourself to define the definitions that are causing those fears, because all emotion comes from something you believe to be true first. You can't have a feeling without defining something to be true first. Therefore, if you have a feeling of fear, it means you have a definition that is causing the fear. Find out what it is, identify it, and let it go. And then you will find that these experiences can turn around for you in a very positive and constructive way and allow you to become more self-empowered if you use it that way, all right?
Good day, Bashar.
And you, good day.
So my extensive time travel hasn't been much, but I would say...
as we said, you are all time traveling all the time. That's what creates the effect called time. So you're all time travelers, whether you know it or not. That's the way you create your physical reality experience.
Gotcha. Maybe I phrased that wrong. The time traveling that I've noticed the most is when I've smoked dimethyltryptamine.
Yes.
Can you speak about how dimethyltryptamine...
Dimethyltryptamine is produced by the pineal gland naturally in your brain and is responsible for your ability to actually perceive other dimensions more clearly. This is why the idea of the dream dimension activates more DMT in your pineal gland when you are sleeping. And those active times of the production of that substance in your brain is generally between what you call your 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. hour. Thus, then, most of the interdimensional dreams will occur at that time because you are perceiving into other realities more clearly. Now, of course, you can learn to enhance this in a variety of ways. be it the utilization of the substance itself, or the idea of meditation, or a variety of other techniques, tools, and rituals, which we simply call permission slips. Because all tools, techniques, and rituals and objects are simply permission slips that allow you to give yourself permission to be more of who you are. Once you use a teacher, once you use a guide or a substance to allow you to understand the frequency state, the state of being that is represented by that substance, then in a sense, you actually no longer need the substance because you can simply generate that frequency state, and in acting from that frequency state can have a life that is more representative of that particular resonant level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that, in fact, in my dream states, I only had a limited experiences with the DMT, but since then, my dream states have changed.
Yes.
One such was actually yesterday when I arrived here. I took a little nap, and in my dream, I had a crazy Serbian chiropractor stick something in my face and said, "This will check your age." And
yes.
it blew air in my face, and I woke up gasping. And
Yes.
sort of the odd thing was, I looked at myself in the mirror, and
Yes.
I appeared to be younger.
Yes. This is actually what you call a memory of something that has already occurred. It's just that you're now at a place where it's all right for you to remember it, and all right for you to create the effect that goes along with the recognition of that particular interaction. Because time, as we say, while it is a real experience, is still nonetheless mechanically an illusion. And therefore, how you see yourself will be how you define yourself. And if you have now been defined differently by recalling that particular experience, then you will see yourself and perceive yourself differently as well. And so will others.
Thank you.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name is Preston Nichols.
If you insist.
Yep. Author of the Montauk Project.
Speak up and be bold.
I got a question. What happened to Tabor? Tabor. Can you tune in on that, sir?
That particular nomenclature is not identified in the vocabulary of the channel. Therefore, there is no translation on our side. You see, I'm not speaking your language. I'm simply sending thoughts and using the channel as a translation device. And therefore, if there's no definition in the channel's vocabulary, it doesn't translate on this side. If you can provide a definition, it may be something we can tap into.
Okay, the function is in the supercomputer that runs this reality. It's one of the executive programs. And on the 23rd of March, it disappeared. I can only find fragments of it. Does this give you any more information, sir?
One moment. We perceive that portions of it were shifted to a parallel reality, but portions remained.
Okay, that would fit what I'm seeing.
Does that help you?
Yeah, okay, you're saying I have to look in other parallel realities for the rest of this intelligence.
In that sense, if you shift your vibration to the concept of that intelligence, it may pull you into the parallel reality in which the majority of it exists.
Yeah, because this intelligence has been very important to my work.
Then
And
perhaps
right-
it is, in a sense, luring you like a carrot or a magnet into another frequency.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I just got my question answered, so I will switch. From where you're at, could you check? I have just worked out the mathematics of universes, and could you check and see how close I'm on them?
Mathematics of universes.
Yes.
Well, first of all, our civilization doesn't necessarily handle mathematics exactly the same way that yours does.
Don't worry, I don't either.
All right. We will give you our understanding of the idea of what you might call the geometry of universes.
You're
if you
right,
wish.
it is geometries.
Yes. Our expression would be what we call the prime radiant. This idea can be explained by analogy by the following illustration. Understanding, of course, that this is simply an analogous illustration.
If you could give me a picture, I'll look at it.
The picture is this. Imagine a completely infinite, empty, black void. Have you got that?
Easy.
Now, imagine a single subatomic particle in the void, and that's all there is.
Okay.
Have you got that?
No problem.
All right. Now, because there is nothing else but this single subatomic particle, no laws apply to it. If it wants to, it can move at infinite speed. Therefore, you will understand that if it can move at infinite speed, it can be anywhere and in fact can be everywhere within the entirety of the infinite void all at once. So if it traces a certain geometric crystalline-like pattern overlapping its own path again and again and again in certain ways, where it overlaps the least will be what you consider to be empty space. Where it overlaps the most will be the densification of matter. But the idea is that this creates all parallel realities, all time frames, all dimensions of experience. This one single particle appears next to itself so quickly, you think it's two particles, you think it's three particles, you think it's 4, 5, 6, a billion, a trillion, a quadrillion particles, but it's all the same particle. Every single one of you, every single one of us, every single star, every single planet, every single chair, every single tree is made of literally not the same kind of particle, literally the same one particle.
Okay. That's
in the ultimate time-sharing event.
Okay. Because you don't have to share time.
The idea of insistence on a particular outcome may seem to be a focus on something that is the best thing you can possibly imagine, but in fact, it's actually a limitation. We have used, to illustrate this point quite often, the idea of visualization. Nothing wrong with visualization at all. Absolutely, it's a tool and a technique that you can use to imagine, to envision an ideal reality that you would absolutely love to experience, that you're excited about experiencing. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing contrary to your true vibration. But here's the rub, here's the difference, as you say. When you imagine, when you picture, when you visualize that so-called ideal outcome, that ideal reality, and you see yourself in that picture, in that visualization, you get excited about what you're seeing, don't you? Hello? Yes. All right. That's why you're visualizing it. You're pumping up your vibration. You're pumping up your excitement. You're getting excited about the idea, the possibility that this could actually manifest. And oh boy, wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be just delicious? Wouldn't that be the best possible thing that could happen in my life? Well, maybe not. The idea is that maybe something even better than you were capable of imagining could happen. So if you insist on the picture that your physical mind created, how do you know you're not limiting yourself from something even better? Your higher mind may know of something even grander than your physical mind is capable of imagining, because your physical mind is not designed to know how something actually needs to happen. Your physical mind is only designed to know what's happening, to experience what's going on right now, what manifests right now. Only your higher mind knows what the true path is for you and tells you this, informs the physical mind through excitement so that the physical mind can know it too. But the physical mind doesn't have the capacity, it's not designed to know how exactly something really needs to unfold. But the higher mind knows this. So when you amp yourself up, when you get yourself really excited by having that particular visualization that your physical mind was capable of conjuring, and you feel at the peak of excitement, drop the picture utterly. Zero insistence, zero assumption that it has to look like that, has to happen that way, you have to get there that way, or that anything specific about it really needs to come to fruition. Drop it utterly, but keep the vibration, the state of being of excitement. Then you are the driving engine itself, that you have now made room for the manifestation that the higher mind can bring to you that is actually representative of that state of excitement, which may be far grander than your physical mind was capable of visualizing. So when you understand that insistence on a particular outcome is actually a limitation, you will drop it, as you say, like a hot potato. Or perhaps some of you will drop it like a hot potato. And the next?
The thing itself that excites you may not need to come to fruition. It may only excite you to get you to take action in order to create the state of being in which that thing actually needs to manifest.
So again, yes, the idea is that when you drop the insistence, when you drop the assumption in that context, you will start to realize that sometimes things will excite you, but not for the reason you think.
If you are holding on to certain beliefs that may make you resistant to moving in a certain direction, a direction you may really need to go in, something may crop up synchronistically in your life that will get you to move in that direction because it looks so exciting you just can't resist it. But never assume that the thing that excites you and gets you to move is the thing that actually has to manifest, because its job may only be to get you off your butt. And that may be it. And once you are moving, and once you are acting on your excitement, and once you're in that state of being, then the thing that really needs to be acted on and may really need to manifest can crop up as an opportunity and a circumstance before you. But never assume that what crops up actually has to be it. It may only be the thing that ignited you to start moving so you would have the momentum to take advantage of what really needs to manifest in your life.
Okay, well, acting on this 3-part formula with integrity aligns you with the complete toolkit of excitement that...
When we say it's complete, we mean it's complete. If you need a refresher course on what that word means, please consult your local dictionary. Complete means it leaves nothing relevant out. That's the final piece of the toolkit. But first and foremost, and again, please remember, the toolkit is automatic, self-guiding, self-perpetuating. It works flawlessly all the time. And it becomes, when you activate this 3-part formula of acting on your highest excitement every moment that you can to the best that you are able, with zero insistence on the outcome or how you get there, the methodology or anything like that, then you activate the kit to work for you in a positive way, and the kit becomes the driving engine. That's the first tool that moves you through life, accelerates you. It becomes the organizing principle in your life. Again, as we mentioned, through synchronicity, showing you exactly what needs to be done in what order and when, and whatever doesn't get done by the end of the day when you are excited about being tired and going to sleep, which is also an excitement, then it didn't need to be done that day. Because again, it's the organizing principle, and it knows exactly how to fill your day perfectly. And again, please remember that when we talk about acting on your excitement, we don't mean, as we have said very often, that you have to be jumping up and down with your hair on fire. Excitement can be a sense of balanced peace. It can be a very relaxed meditative state expressing your excitement. You don't have to be running around the room, bouncing off the walls to say, I'm excited. Look at me, I'm excited. And so, not only is it the driving engine and the organizing principle, but it is also the path of least resistance. It is also that which connects you to all other expressions of excitement. Even if on the surface they look unconnected, it's the excitement that tells you that they are. It is also what gives you support in life, in all the ways you need it, in all the forms it needs to come. Whatever form of abundance that may be will be the form that needs to be there. So again, drop the insistence on what form in which abundance may need to come. Because again, you don't know what form actually may serve you best. If it's money, which we understand you have on your planet, then that's the form it'll come in. But if that's not the path of least resistance, another form of abundance may need to crop up, such as simply being gifted something. That's a form of abundance. But you must trust the synchronicity and the way your life unfolds in order to be open to all forms of abundance and not be insistent that it must come in a certain form, which again, paradoxically, closes the doors to which all other forms of abundance may actually reach you through. It also contains the reflective mirror, this kit, that reveals to you, as you're acting on your excitement, as you're moving forward, it reveals to you, in no uncertain terms, by bringing them up to your attention, anything that may be in your subconscious or unconscious mind that is out of alignment with your true vibration. Any negative fear-based beliefs that are out of alignment, it will bring them to your attention. So when you're acting on your excitement and suddenly one of these fear-based beliefs comes up, don't label that as something having gone wrong. That's exactly what needs to happen. Because you need to be aware of these things. You need to identify these negative beliefs consciously
in order to see that they don't belong to you, in order to see that they make no sense, in order to see that that's not what you prefer, in order to consciously realize that's not what you prefer to choose. And once you let that go, then you will add its energy to your excitement, and you will continue to expand from there. And once again, this being a complete hit, it leaves absolutely nothing relevant out of your life. That's what we mean by complete. It will contain everything you need in perfect place, in perfect timing. You will find yourself synchronistically where you need to be, when you need to be there, with whom you need to be, doing what you need to be doing. All these things are automatic, and if you're willing to go with the flow, you will start experiencing this synchronicity in that way more and more and more and more. Life will become more ecstatic. It will become more effortless. It will become more joyful. It will become more creative. It will become more loving. It will become more aware of who and what you are. Know thyself. This all boils down to that. Know thyself. The ultimate formula. Be aware of your definitions. Be aware of what you're choosing. Be aware of what story you're telling yourself and living out. And choose the ones that you prefer instead. Again, this may not necessarily contain every single detail, but for now it is sufficient. And if you are willing to follow these guidelines and allow yourself to learn very effectively and make them your own, these principles and sub-principles, and remind yourself, if you find yourself slipping a little bit, go back to the sheet, remind yourself of the details here, of the precise definitions here, and then just move forward. Does this sound like fun? Yes. All right. And I'll say good day to you. The transmission for today has been called the difference between guilt and responsibility. We understand many people on your planet have experienced the feelings of guilt and shame for many thousands of years, depending upon the actions that you take and how much of your conscious awareness comes into play with regard to whether or not you have acted out of integrity, meaning outside of integrity, and the idea of bringing yourself back into alignment. But many people on your planet go through a long process of letting go of the guilt and the shame before they are actually willing to let themselves experience responsibility in a positive sense. As we have said, our definition is simply the ability to respond. So the idea that we have spoken of before, when we have mentioned the concept of what we called natural anger, that lasts for about 15 seconds, and then it becomes an alignment energy for you to determine how to bring yourself back into alignment with your true vibration. Guilt can be used in the same way, and it is actually activated by much of the same mechanism, and is a representation of a similar vibrational energy as anger when it becomes judgment upon oneself, turning into the idea of hate, and so on and so forth. Then the natural energy that you experience as guilt when you heap judgment upon yourself for having it allows you to experience the idea of shame and doesn't really give you the ability to take full responsibility, to have the full ability to respond to the situation in a positive way. So this is really the same mechanism as we have described in terms of the natural anger, which perhaps from this point forward would be best terminized as alignment, an alignment energy. Best termed that way, instead of thinking of it as anger, which usually on your planet has a negative connotation already. So let's redefine the idea as alignment energy when you experience the idea of anger, when you experience the idea of guilt, when you experience the idea of shame, and all similar feelings They are just representations, different expressions for different reasons of an alignment energy that gives you the opportunity to understand that you are out of alignment with your true vibration, out of sync with yourself, and without the judgment being heaped upon it, being heaped upon yourself for having experienced that alignment energy, then it won't turn anger into hate. It won't turn guilt into shame. You will simply be able to recognize it as an energy that tells you you are out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. And you can bring yourself immediately back into alignment by being willing to take responsibility, by being willing to have the ability to respond to the situation in a positive way, saying, all right, this alignment energy, this rush of alignment energy that I am feeling, either as anger or guilt, doesn't have to perpetuate in a negative way, which only defeats the purpose of learning the lesson from it, that it helps me know I'm out of alignment so that I can take the opportunity to go back into alignment by taking responsibility, by having and expressing the ability to respond to my recognition that I'm out of alignment, by bringing myself back into alignment and not judging myself for having had the misalignment in the first place. So start to look at the idea of guilt as just another expression of the alignment energy, bringing it to your attention, that it is not an expression of who you prefer to be, that you are out of sync with yourself, and start having more of an understanding of the ability to respond, bringing yourself back in to the idea of alignment by recognizing that it is simply an energy that let you know reflectively that you are out of alignment with who you truly prefer to be. So responsibility, the ability to respond, will short circuit the idea, if you're willing to go in that direction, of having any judgment on yourself for having been out of alignment, will prevent you from having to go through a long, involved, detailed process of wondering why and berating yourself for having gone out of alignment. Take this opportunity to shorten your processes. Take this opportunity to stop judging yourself for having slipped, as we say, or chosen, as we say, to go out of alignment momentarily. It does you really no good to continue that process of shame and guilt and anger, of continuing the misalignment by judging yourself negatively for having had that experience. Allow yourself to go quickly back into alignment by taking responsibility for having had the experience in a positive context and knowing that it has shown you very clearly who you truly prefer to be, and snapping back into that choice, realizing that it served its purpose already. There's no need to dwell on it or wallow in having had the alignment rush that you felt. There is no need to continue the shame. There is every need on your planet for you to correct yourself immediately, bring yourself back into alignment, be a positive example of how to do so for others, so they also do not have to wallow into the idea of self-judgment, which you don't deserve, especially if you recognize by having that alignment rush that that's a good thing. It has shown you that you're operating properly, you're working properly, you're self-correcting, you're self-guiding. You are recognizing that you're out of alignment, and that's a positive recognition. So don't judge yourself negatively for that. Congratulate yourself for having realized, for having been willing to experience that rush of alignment energy that you used to call natural anger or used to call the idea of guilt. It's just a recognition. Use it positively, and you will move forward in a positive way very quickly and will not spend most of your time dwelling on the idea that you're judging yourself, which actually allows you to continue to judge yourself in a negative way. So know the differences here. Watch your definitions here. Use these to your advantage here, wherever and whenever you can. We thank you for allowing us to express this difference between the concept of guilt and responsibility by redefining all of these experiences as the alignment energy, the rush of alignment energy that allows you to know you are functioning perfectly, you are functioning fine. So celebrate that and congratulate yourself for having caught yourself in being misaligned with your true vibration, and allow yourself to snap back into that true vibration and move forward in your lives in a positive way. So in return for allowing us to share this concept with you this day of your time, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin, if you wish, with your questions and dialogue.